Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to Chairman Smith for coming to the best state in the country. We are excited to have you here, but seriously to hear from the hearts and minds of all of the people that are adversely affected by this terrible provision. And thank you to Congressman Garrett Graves for leading H.R. 82. We are encouraged that we're going to get that across the finish line this Congress. And I have to tell you, while my time in Congress has been brief, a little over 3 years now, this is the #1 concern that I hear from my constituents about. Thousands of calls, countless letters. I was just followed around every single aisle of Target last week trying to buy presents, listening to the concerns from my constituents, because it is absolutely unfair and it must be righted. And I just want to thank our witnesses today. I want to especially thank Ms. Dugas and Ms. Porter. Unfortunately, I have also felt your pain in also being a widow myself. And I know that the minute that you lose your husband, the first thing that goes through your mind is, how am I going to support my family? And the last thing that you need to be worried about through every single point in the rest of your careers is, how am I going to support my family? And then to be hit with GPO later on is absolutely abhorrent. And I'm sorry that you had to go through that. And so being in Congress and being a teacher myself, once I realized what was happening with weapon GPO, I wanted to go on this research hunt per se and find out, what is this? Why is it happening? Who can explain it to me? And so I probably did what many of you did. I went to the Social Security Administration. I said, can you explain what this funding formula is? What's happening here? Tell me more about it. I left more confused than when I went into that office. And then so I went to the Congressional Research Service and I said, hey, can you guys explain to me what's happening with this and what's happening with the funding formula? And they said, well, all we can tell you is that it's flawed. And I said, okay, it's flawed, so how do we fix it? And they said, oh no, that's your job to fix it. I said, okay, so how do we fix it? So I want you to know that with every single breath that I have, this is the #1 issue that I want to work on in Congress. It is the #1 issue I hear about from my constituents. It's the #1 issue I'm trying to wrap my head around and fully understand, which leads me to my next question to the witnesses. Can any of you explain to me the funding formula and what is wrong with it? Anyone want to take a stab at it? I'm confused too, Mr. Chairman. I'm trying earnestly, in all seriousness, to find out what is the answer to that question, because no one can really explain it to me. And I think that's where we have to drill down and really get to the heart of the matter. Where is it wrong? Do you want to take a stab at it?
I cannot tell you. I understand the formula. I can't tell you there's any logic to it. What I can tell you is how we can fix it.
Okay.
We know that it's broken.
Right.
We know that we're taking money from people with an expectation they're going to receive a benefit just like every other American.
Right.
We know that it's flawed, but we're not taking any steps to correct it. The simple thing to do is just repeal it. Let's give everybody what they paid into the system. It's not a matter of where does the money come from. I can tell you exactly where it came from. It came out of every one of our paychecks. Mm-hmm. We paid into the system just like every other American.
That's right.
And because we picked public service, we should be treated like every other American as well.
Absolutely. You know, it's incredibly frustrating for me to, again, in 3 years, watch trillions of dollars go out the door in other government programs. And yet, what message are we saying to the hard-working American people who are public servants, who didn't go into teaching for 38 years for the money or for the paycheck? It's because you felt called to serve. What are we saying to those people when we are robbing them of what is rightfully theirs, what you paid in, Mr. Pyro? It's astounding to me that we're having this conversation, but I'm hopeful. I truly am hopeful that we have a chairman who's willing to come all the way to the great state of Louisiana to hear your voices and hear your stories. And again, as long as I have breath, I'm going to continue sharing them. Please continue sharing them with me, because the louder we can make our voices, I know change can occur. So thank you all so much for being with us today. I truly value your time and your stories. Thank you.